Good day, and welcome to the Armwood Opinion channel here on YouTube. Here, unfortunately, the day after the mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, and also the mass shooting in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio. And this expression of hate, and we know for a fact that the expression of hate in El Paso was inspired in part by the hate that's been espoused by Donald Trump. And since his election, he has talked badly about Mexicans, calling them rapists, thieves, etc., using the language of an invasion. But his racist hatred has gone back all of his life. Those of us who remember, a little bit older, remember back in 1973 when Justice Department brought charges against he and his father for racism in housing in New York City in his apartments. He has always been a racist. When he first started putting out feelers for running for president, he claimed that President Obama was not born in this country. And he had information. He had people in Hawaii. All these were just blatant lies. He later on, last year, congressman, he attacked a judge and said the judge couldn't judge him because he was of Mexican ancestry, even though he was born in the United States. This is who Donald Trump is. People like this like to stir the pot of hatred. This is who Donald Trump is. And the sad thing is a lot of Americans support him in spite of this. They are a disgrace. They are as bad as he is. If you support Donald Trump, you support the Republican Party right now, which is largely remaining silent about Donald Trump. You are as bad as Donald Trump. You are a racist. If you voted for Donald Trump, you are a racist. Plain and simple. There are no excuses. I don't want to hear it. For you to sit here and tolerate that kind of behavior and to support the person, you are just like him. You're evil. Donald Trump is evil. He needs to be impeached. It's a shame that Nancy Pelosi has been too much of a coward to go through with the impeachment. We know the Republicans aren't going to remove him from office, but he needs to have the stain of impeachment on his presidency. This is setting a precedent that a president can't go around and engage in obstruction of justice, and obstruction of justice, as I just said, in conspiring with the Russians, in expressing division and racism like he has, and get away with it. We have to do something about it. This is necessary. This is important. And unfortunately, too many Americans are not willing to stand up for what is right. They make excuses. Well, he'll make the economy better. He'll do this. No. This is how Hitler came to power in Germany. The same kind of excuses you're making for him are the excuses many Germans made for Hitler. Many Italians made for Mussolini. Many Russians are making now for Vladimir Putin, Trump's buddy. There's no excuse for it. The 2020 election is coming. We need to vote him out because it doesn't look like the Democrats are going to impeach him, though over half the representatives in the House of Representatives are now calling for an impeachment inquiry, in spite of Nancy Pelosi's opposition. This is good because she has a lot of weight with them because she comes from a very wealthy background and she knows wealthy people and she is able to raise money from her friends. It's all about money. It's all about money. Pelosi admitted this at a meeting. I had people that I knew said, "Oh no, how could you say this about Nancy Pelosi?" Well, they're not the brightest people in the world. They're not the most educated people in the world. It's about money. In any type of political situation, you got to follow the money. Those of us that remember the Nixon impeachment proceeding, well, but Leon Jaworski said, "Follow the money." John Dean said, "Follow the money." So we know money has a huge part to play. But we, the American people who are decent, must demand that this thug be impeached. He needs that stain on the presidency. Even if Moscow Mitch McConnell won't do anything about it. We know Mitch McConnell this past week, failed to allow legislation to come to the floor that would help to secure our elections in 2020 because he doesn't want them secure. He knows that the Russians are trying to help the Republicans. So Moscow Mitch, doesn't care. He's a traitor, just like Donald Trump. They're both traitors to the United States. They are allowing the Russians to meddle in our elections. Donald Trump called for it during the campaign, and people still voted for him. It's a disgrace, but they did. He came out and said, "Russia, if you're listening, find those emails from Hillary Clinton." That was outrageous. And you have people that still voted for him in spite of that. It's disgusting. It just shows you that this country, the ignorance, the bigotry that has always been here since the founding of this country is still here. And the irony is, of course, that we are in the year 1919, exactly 400 years from the beginning of the slave trade. The first slave ship, named the Jesus. Irony of ironies, but maybe not so ironic. Captain Hawkins, a minister, brought the first slave ship to this country. So we have had racism in this country since that time. Donald Trump is just the latest incarnation. Yeah, the media has praised Ronald Reagan to death, who was an evil, racist man. Finally, a tape was released showing that he was racism. But black folks, we've known this all along. White folks who are intelligent, who listen to him, knew this. But a lot of white folks like to sit in denial when it comes to racism because it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect their tribe, or their tribes, I should say, because they don't all come from the same tribes, but they tend to act together, especially when it comes to people of color. Well, Reagan announced his election outside of Philadelphia, Mississippi, where 3 civil rights workers, Goodman, Sweeney, and Schwartzman, were killed. So we know where Reagan was coming from. Reagan was always a racist. He opposed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, as did Herbert Walker Bush, H.W. Bush. All these guys, H.W. Bush with the Willie Horton ad, these guys are all the same. It's a matter of degree. We have to do something about it. We have to stop it. And now is the time we must throw down the gauntlet and say no more. Democrats, we're going to vote to oppose Trump, even if we get stuck having to vote for Biden. And I don't want to vote for him because his record on busing and stuff is horrible. I've never liked Biden. I've never liked Biden since the 70s, since he was the first congressman, because he was never on the side of black folks. He'd smile in your face and stab you in the back, as he did opposing busing. I was bussed long before Biden was in the Senate. I was bussed in 1961. I know what busing is like. I know what it's like to go to a school and being called nigger the first day of school and having to come home and ask my father what it meant. I know what it is to get beat in school, to almost lose my eye in school. So when I see a guy like Biden, I want to punch him in the eye, be quite frank with it, because of the way I was treated and his callousness toward black people. He doesn't deserve our vote. But we have to be willing in 2020 to vote for the dog catcher rather than Trump. But on the congressional level and local races, we need to challenge people. Just like Ocasio did, we need to challenge people. We need people like Ilhan Omar, Miss Presley, and Ocasio. Those are the people that we need in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, in our local government. People who actually care about people like us. Because most of them, all they want is our votes. But when it comes down to it, they don't give a hoot. Anyway, I'm going to make this short because it looks like it's going to storm out here. And I don't want to get caught out in this weather. But remember, resistance is not futile. We must resist Donald Trump. We must resist Moscow Mitch. And we must resist Democrats who do not have our interest in heart. People like Nancy Pelosi must be replaced. She cannot be leader for 2 more years. All right. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to hear more progressive content like this. And if you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button twice. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.